Hello and welcome back to Her Becoming. I am your host, Kayla Countryman. Thank you for being here with me today. We have a impromptu, in the moment episode today. I don't even have a formal outline. I have my journal in front of me, and we're just going to roll with it because this is what my soul felt was important to record and share with the world today. So it has been just about a year since my life completely took a turn that I was not expecting. If you are new to this show and you don't know my story, I'm not going to get all the way into it right now. You can go back to episodes 9 and 10 to hear more. But essentially, March 23rd, 2025, I received information about the person that I was 19 days away from marrying that led me to call off that wedding, end that long-term relationship, and embark on a journey of starting over in a time that I was weeks away from becoming a wife. So those are the cliff notes. And so in recording this episode today, my intention is to give you guys first of all, a 1-year check-in. How am I really doing? What's going on? How has my life changed? What does my life look like? All of that I know we all want to know because we're all naturally nosy beings. But also, I really want this to serve as a resource for anyone who is experiencing heartbreak or for anyone who is supporting someone who is experiencing heartbreak to help you heal and to help you get through or to help you support someone that needs that support in getting through. And so right off the bat, if you know someone that is in it right now and does need a little extra love, I want you to send them this episode. I want you to send them this as a resource, as a loving pep talk, to remind them that coming from someone who was really deep in the trenches exactly a year ago, it absolutely gets better. Okay, so let's just start with how am I doing? How am I doing? When this episode comes out, it will be March 24th. So one day after I don't even want to call it an anniversary, just the 1-year mark of shit quite literally hitting the fan in my life. And what I will tell you is I have been experiencing so much tenderness this month. I have been a little more sensitive than usual, a lot more moody than usual, phases of feeling cranky and irritable, and it's all things I was expecting. One thing that I have learned in the past year, our bodies hold so much wisdom and our bodies communicate to us through signs and signals, and our bodies also store dates. I know this for a fact to be true for myself. My body stores dates to a T. Last spring, on the day that would have been my wedding date, I was so ill, worst migraine of my life, and I immediately knew it was my body communicating to me. Happened again on my birthday. Happened again just a couple months ago on the day that was my bridal shower last year. And so I know for me, I have to mentally prepare and just give myself a little extra love leading up to those dates that were supposed to be milestones in my life. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I actually think it is really fascinating that our body is able to store those dates and send out signals of, hey, rest, hey, you need to reflect, hey, you need to sit your ass down and take a moment because I'm trying to process a lot of information and a lot of trauma that this day gave me last year. So approaching the date this year that my life blew up, I knew ahead of time I'm going to have to take it slow. I actually called off of work on that day, took a wellness day because I know I'm going to need to just relax. Booked a massage for myself. I might go take a ceramics class or just do something that really fills my cup and have no agenda for the day so that however my body and mind feel, I'm able to support myself. And I know it's not unique that my body has this ability to remember and store. We talk about often on this podcast, the body keeps score. And the signs and the signals that our bodies put out, that's not unique to me in my experience. I'm just really tuned in, really locked in to my body communicating with me. So I'm able to pick up on what it's saying or what I need. And I want you to know that you have that ability too. Your body is also storing things, storing dates, storing memories, and communicating to you to help protect you or help heal you or help your body get more rest. It's happening all the time. I just think a lot of us don't listen because we're so overstimulated. We think work is more important. We have our to-do list. And so if you are someone in the trenches of heartbreak or going through a difficult time, one of the first things that I'd really recommend that I learned over this last year is to slow down and listen to your body. Listen to the signals, trust the signs. If there are any important dates coming up that you know might be triggering for you, pour back into yourself. Don't try to push aside how you're going to feel or ignore it, because that's not going to be a solution. Distraction is not a solution. The only way to get to the other side is to move through, and our body is leading the way. So that is just something that I've really picked up on in the last year. One thing that I did this month as well to prepare for coming up on this year mark was really just lower my expectations. If you know me, you know I am in go mode all the time. I want to grow the business. I want to build this podcast. I have my full-time job. I have my social life. I have my hobbies. I'm always going. And I had a little pep talk with myself coming into March and coming in towards the end of March of like, hey girl, you're going to have to slow down. You're going to have to lower your expectations. It's okay if every episode isn't perfect. It's okay if all of the content doesn't get posted. It's okay if you're not the perfect employee. We have to scale it back. And that is just one of the things I've really learned in this last year, these last few years of healing and self-discovery and therapy. Just knowing when you need to pull back and pour back into your own cup a little extra. And so for me, this time of year was absolutely one of those times. Even to the point where I actually vocalized to my loved ones, my family, my close friends, hey, this time of year, as you all know, is really tender for me. So be patient with me. If I don't respond immediately, if I get a little snappy or short, if I don't seem like myself, know that I'm aware. Know that I'm already in tune with what's going on, and it is just simply my body bringing up a lot of packed trauma from this day last year. And so that's also something that I have learned, is to vocalize my needs, vocalize my truth. I am not a burden because I have these heightened emotions. I am not an inconvenience because I'm a little bit moody this time of year. My mind wants to tell me that I'm a burden and an inconvenience and that I need to snap out of it. But if I'm really parenting myself, as we all should be doing, and really tending to my inner child, then I'm quickly reminded it's okay to be gentle. It's okay to vocalize those needs, and everyone that loves me is going to respect them and also just want to squeeze me a little bit tighter and be there for this time of year as well. And naturally, I've also spent so much time this week reflecting on this week last year, because wow, what a doozy I was sent through. And I think what's still so shocking to me, what is causing a lot of big feelings to come up for me, is just how severe, how traumatic, I'll say, that experience was for me. When I tell you March 23rd of 2025, my body was just in a state of heightened stress and panic for about 7 hours. My Aura Ring tracked it. My Aura Ring, my heart rate was so high. My Aura Ring was like, you are not okay. I was not okay that day. And my body knows that that date is coming up. And so reflecting on how I felt last year, I feel a lot of tenderness. I keep using that word because that's the biggest word that comes to mind. But I also just wish I could go back and hug that version of myself that was having essentially a 7-hour long panic attack that just kind of trickled into the following weeks. I wish I could go back and hug myself, because I sit here today in a level of disbelief at the amount of hurt that it caused, at the amount of trauma that I experienced. I can't even fathom, can't even wrap my head around the day that I lived, that day of last year. It was a lot. And I'll never share the full story publicly. That's not what this podcast is for. This podcast is for the healing and the self-development and the lessons that come from it. But it was the most traumatic day of my life. It was the hardest day of my life. And it was the day, or the days, that I had to be the bravest version of myself that I've ever had to be. And I'm able to hold space for the sadness and the pain that I felt and just that feeling of wanting to go back and give that version of me a hug with the gratitude. I am so grateful that my life blew up. I am so grateful that I got out of that relationship. I am so grateful I did not walk down that aisle. I am so grateful I got a chance to start over. And both things can be and very much are true. And it's a lot to hold because you are essentially going through whiplash of, I thought my life was going to look like this, but now my life looks like this. And holy shit, what happened in the middle? You're just all of a sudden catapulted to the other side. And there's so much beauty in that. But there's also a lot to hold. It is very overwhelming and in a lot of ways a bit triggering to have this type of experience happen to you. To go through any type of heartbreak is exceptionally hurtful. It is not an easy thing to go through, yet it is something that most of us experience at some point in our lives. And I think the thing that I am most grateful for about my healing journey is I just dove right into the deep end. I ended that relationship. I went back into therapy. I was committed to going through it, not around it. I did not push it under the rug. I faced the healing journey head on, looking at myself in the mirror. And it is something that I'm so grateful for. That looked like getting back into the things that I actually loved, journaling, meditating every single day. Like I mentioned, therapy. But it also looked like some unconventional ways, traveling. It worked out beautifully. I mean, I don't think any of this is a coincidence, but last year I had so many trips lined up after March. I had bachelorette parties and friends' weddings to go to and girls' trips already planned. And last summer and fall, when I was traveling, I took 10 trips, y'all. Like, it was a lot of traveling. About every other weekend, I was on the road, on a plane, going. It was the best thing for me. It is one of those experiences that I think catapulted my healing journey because I went to new cities, I was surrounded by loved ones, and I was forced to recreate my own reality because I was constantly on the go. Being on the go was just the medicine that I needed. And I don't think I knew that I needed it at the time, but it healed me looking back more than I could even explain. So if you're in the trenches, get on the road. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but just take a trip with your girlfriends, go visit someone you love. Like, getting out of your environment, especially if it was a shared environment with the person that you're departing from or just departed from, it helps tremendously. That's one of those things that was just a complete blessing in my healing journey. And tackling my healing head on also looked like completely rewiring my brain. We've talked about this in a lot of past episodes, so if you are new here, I encourage you to go back to previous episodes. I will link them in the show notes where we talk about rewiring your brain, creating your new reality, and just neuroscience and psychology in general. I remember when I was days out after this breakup, and I listened to a podcast and they talked about rewiring your brain to create a new reality. And something just clicked in my mind, dare I say, rewired in that moment, where I had a completely different point of view on how to approach my healing journey, and it changed everything. So when I say rewiring your brain and creating a new reality, your brain likes what's comfortable. And when you're in a relationship, especially a long-term relationship, that's what's comfortable. So your brain is going to try to recreate experiences that align with that comfort. That means when you break up with someone, you still want their presence. You still want to call them or reach out to them or have them in your life in some capacity because your brain sees that as comfort. In order to create your new reality and rewire your brain, you have to create different experiences. This is why no contact in breakups is so important. For me, it was a non-negotiable. Like, I took no contact to the extreme, and I'm so grateful for that because it allows you to create new experiences, new routines, new habits, new hobbies, meet new people. And every time you do one of those things, you are creating new neural pathways in your brain, and that is rewiring and creating this new reality that you're living. All of a sudden, you wake up and instead of wanting to see that person or spend time with that person, you go for a walk, you go to Pilates, you make yourself a cup of coffee. You do that over and over, you're creating a new reality, right? Instead of reaching for your phone to call that person, FaceTime your girlfriends. You go meet a girlfriend for dinner, you go to happy hour. You're rewiring your brain to create a new reality. And so a lot of healing from heartbreak is really just creating these new experiences. And it's something that you have to do over time. I even find myself, as of lately, I was just having this conversation with my cousin where we all know healing isn't linear. We all know that healing isn't just a one and done experience, and it happens over time. So naturally, as I'm approaching the 1 year mark and I'm getting triggered, feelings are coming up, thoughts are coming up about how severely hurt I was this time of last year. And I'm having to remind myself healing continues. The healing journey is still in progress, but I don't need to be fully healed in order to move forward with my life. I need to continue to create new experiences and to expose my nervous system to these new realities that help me create the life that I want to live. And I've been doing that for the last year. It has been extremely important to me that I spend time with my girlfriends, that I foster relationships that actually fill my cup, that I expose myself to new people and new places, and I create new routines, and I focus on my business in a new and more purposeful way. These are all little experiences that create new realities. And I think we fall into the trap of thinking, I need to fully heal and then I'll do this. But I don't know if we're ever fully healed. I think that healing is an ongoing process. We've talked about it in a past episode. You can turn that dial up or down depending on what you need in your life currently. And so for me, I see it as I can create the podcast as I heal. I can meet new people as I heal. I can form new friendships as I heal. And healing becomes part of the journey. It doesn't become a prerequisite to experiencing joy. So that is a huge shift that I made over the past year. And it did wonders for me because even when it comes to moving on and meeting someone who is the right fit for you, you don't need to show up into that relationship completely healed, healing done, and then you're ready. You meet someone and you continue that journey together. And so I feel like I went on a rant there, but really rewiring my brain and creating a new reality is the number one thing. It is the number one thing that has helped me get from where I was a year ago to where I am today. And with that, there is so much duality. Duality is the theme, I think, of this podcast because there is the duality of I'm living the life that I've always wanted. Like, I can say that confidently. I am living the life that I have always wanted. Are there things that I would still like to change about my life? Sure, I would love to make more money, and I will make more money one day. Like, that's gonna come. But outside of that, my life is really good. It's really nice, you guys. And at the same time, this past week has been a lot. I've been in my feels. I've been kind of sad. I've been crying a lot. And I think we can talk ourselves into believing that if we are in our feels and sad and crying, that our life isn't good, or that it's not enough, or that something is missing. And what healing has really taught me is that two things can be true. I can be living my dream life and experiencing more joy in a lot of ways than I ever had, while also holding space for the part of me that is just hurt by what I went through a year ago. And not hurt in the way of I'm holding on to it, but hurt in the way of, ooh, that was a lot for us to hold and carry. That was a lot for us to get through. And that was a lot for us to come back from. And when I say us, I'm talking about me, like me, my soul, my mind, and my body. That's us. That's the team. It was a lot for us. And so I love this word duality because I think it really just creates the environment of two things can be true. You are allowed to live your dream life and you are allowed to still be healing. You are allowed to love your life and you are allowed to be sad over something that happened that you're still working through. And so that has been a huge lesson for me in this past year. Okay, I'm definitely ranting. I'm ranting. I hope this is helpful. I hope that someone who is going through heartbreak right now is listening to this and understands that you're going to get to the other side. You're going to make it. I promise you are. And if you are in it right now, I would love to share a few things with you that I would have really, really benefited from hearing when I was in it a year ago. So, first thing is there's no rush. When you go through heartbreak or when you experience a life altering event, something traumatic, you get knocked down. Quite literally, you might want to just stay in bed, stay on the couch. You're probably not eating, you have no appetite. It's weird. It's just a weird time. Stay there. You have to stay there, and you have to trust that your body will know when it's time to get out of it. I was in it. I was horizontal on my couch. I can even tell you March Madness has been a little bit of a triggering event for me because I remember just laying on my couch, eyes glazed over, soul just completely glazed over, just watching the women's March Madness tournament because it was something to keep my mind from spiraling. And so when you're in that state, there's almost this guilt, especially if you're someone that is a go-getter like I am. You're like, I got this to-do list. I got to do the podcast. I got to do the business. I got to be the employee. Don't do that. Lower the expectations. Expectations are on the floor. They are in the basement. You don't have to do anything. You just have to parent yourself enough to drink some water and get enough food in so that you can at least not pass out. Get enough food in so that you have something sustaining you even when everything tastes terrible, because that's something that happens. And it is just the worst to have no appetite. Just eat enough to feel okay. That's like the best advice I can give, and lay low. You will know when it's time to come out of it. Another thing that I wish I heard at that time, it is a blessing to have the opportunity to begin again. I learned this over time after a few weeks went by, and I started to feel relief. I started to feel gratitude, and I knew I was on the right path. What a blessing to begin again. This feeling was validated over months following my breakup as I was posting my story on TikTok. Yo, I got hundreds of comments and DMs from women sharing stories of, I wish I would have called off my wedding. I knew this person wasn't right for me, but I went with it anyways, and I've lived with 10 years of regret. My best friend married someone she shouldn't have married, and now they're going through whatever. So many stories just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. People applauding my bravery. And it wasn't even about the necessity of people applauding my bravery. I just really started to realize, wow, I'm a lucky one. I didn't go through with it. I was courageous enough to do the hard thing. And as a result, I get to start over and create this life that is going to be fulfilling, that I'm going to love. It's going to be the one for me. And what an honor that is. And when you're in it, it's hard to see that. It took me a few weeks, maybe even a few months to really grasp that idea. But I promise you, it is a blessing to be in the position to start over. Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter what season of life you are always allowed to. And it is actually a privilege, especially when you have the resources and the support to do so. Along with that is trusting that there's a life waiting for you on the other side. If you're in a relationship that isn't the one for you and you know that deep down, you probably have a feeling of like, what's on the other side of this? That's a feeling that I had for quite some time before this happened. And we have to, especially as women, trust that that's the truth. We have to trust that there is something on the other side more fulfilling, more aligned, and more meant for us. And in those early days, again, it is feeling nearly impossible to even get up off the couch. I get it. You have to trust that there is something so beautiful waiting on the other side of that really hard decision that you just made, or on the other side of a really hard decision that you are anticipating having to make. We've already talked about this, but healing is not linear. This has been shouted at me from the rooftops this week because your girl kind of got pushed back into a punching bag this week, and that's okay. It's part of the process. 1 year later, I could sit here and lie to you guys and be like, everything's perfect. I'm not bothered, blah, blah, blah. butterflies and rainbows. And guess what? I actually do think my life right now is pretty perfect. Is that crazy to say? I do love my life right now. And I'm still healing. And there are still hard days. And I definitely cried this morning and yesterday. I can say that proudly. As a water sign, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry about it, and then I'm going to boss up and move through it. And that's how I work. And I think that's how we should all work. Healing does not have to have an end date. It does not have to have an expiration. It doesn't have to be 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, or a year. You can keep healing and keep living your life. And you should expect to keep healing over time. And that's what I want you to take away from today. It is not linear. You'll have great days and not so great days, and days where you feel like you are healed, and days where you feel like you're right back in those trenches for whatever reason, even though life feels good. And that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. I talked about this on past episodes, how before I ended my relationship, there was a lot of anticipation of heartbreak. And I think a lot of us stay in situations that aren't for us because the pain of heartbreak feels too severe. The fear of going through it feels too intimidating. I was in that space for a long time. I said this at the 6-month mark, and I will say it again today, proudly, confidently, boldly. It was all worth it. The pain of the heartbreak, the trauma of what happened, the healing period, early days where it was just brutal, it was worth being this version of myself now. It was worth having the opportunity to live the life that I get to live today with the people I get to be surrounded by, with this newfound inner peace and joy and just self-love and increased self-worth. It was worth it. And so if you are in that anticipation stage that feels really hard and sticky and intimidating, my story is that it was worth it. All the pain was worth getting to the other side. And once you make that decision, all I can encourage you to do is take all of that love that you poured into the wrong person, the wrong relationship, the wrong time, and pour it back into yourself. That is truly what has gotten me through this last year, is just an abundance of self-love. Self-love in many different shapes and forms. In traveling and spending time with my girlfriends, in truly spending time alone and doing self-reflection, in meeting new people, forming new relationships, getting out there and doing the things that I always wanted to do that I was previously held back from. You are allowed to give yourself the life that you've always wanted. I'm proof of that. I know there are so many women that are proof of that. And while I am still a work in progress and I am still building that life, I've never felt more certain in who I am. I have never felt more confident in the relationships in my life. I have never felt more positive about the impact and the intent of my creative work and my business. And I've never felt just more, I think satisfied is the word. And as a high achieving woman, I'm always going to move the goalpost and want more and push, push, push. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. But lately, I've really just had this feeling of contentment, of feeling satisfied with my life and feeling so proud of myself for how much I have overcome, for doing the hard thing, which was pushing through the healing and not going around it, not shoving it under the rug, but facing it head on. Because doing that has helped me create the life that I've really wanted and the life that I ultimately have deserved all along. And the crazy thing is, it was already waiting for me. That's the beautiful thing about making hard decisions. These hard decisions that we inevitably have to make in life, they sort of catapult us to the other side of that decision, which is just closer to the woman that we are meant to be the entire time. And so again, if you're listening to this in a space of heartbreak, anticipation, recent heartbreak, or you're just here to be here, and I love that for us, I just want to send you a big hug and let you know that you got this, and let you know that as someone sharing from the middle of my journey, you all know I never intend to show up here from a place of perfection, from a place of having it all figured out. I am still in it. I am still in my own journey of becoming, but the journey is the most beautiful part. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is the journey. So I am sending you the utmost of love. You got this. I promise you really got this. It gets so much better. Life gets better. You get better. Like, you just start glowing. After being in the trenches for so long, that self-discovery period, and then just coming out of it, that butterfly phase when you get out of that cocoon and emerge, there is just this amazing glow. Not even just physically, but your entire aura just elevates when you choose yourself. In the relationship, in the job, in the friendship, it doesn't matter. When you choose yourself, your aura changes. And I will leave it at that. 1 year ago, I had just recorded episode 7. And here we are at episode 44. No signs of stopping anytime soon. This show is what it is because you all continue to listen, continue to show up, and you choose to be on this journey with me. So for that, I am forever grateful. This week was a lot of me yapping about me. So next week, back to business as usual. I'll be coming with insights and lessons and all of those things that we love. But I know, based on the numbers, based on the data, that y'all like an update. You like a check-in, especially when it comes to this journey. So my story is important to me. I appreciate that it has helped so many of you move forward in your own stories. It's not something that I plan on harping on moving forward. I think with the 1 year mark, I'm kind of feeling complete. I feel like the cycle of sharing about this is complete now. But we'll see. That could change, and that's okay. Like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all of the things. Everything will be linked in the show notes for you. Send this episode to loved ones, anyone you know going through heartbreak right now, or supporting someone through heartbreak right now. If you have questions or want to dive deeper on any of this, just send me a DM on K Countryman or Her Becoming Pod on Instagram. Either one works. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will see you on the next episode. Be well.